the Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and closing the nominee's resignation of convenience. Again, welcome, and what I'd like to do is on Carol Fiola, the Plymouth area councilor, and to my left is Councilor Tom Meredith, Councilor Tom Foley, Councilor Maren Petito-Devaney, and I will introduce all the councilors as they arrive.
That's fine, thank you.
What I'd like to do is begin with your witness list, and if that's okay, is this the correct order that we submitted here today?
Yes, we're awaiting Judge Meno, but if possible, when he arrives, we'll slide him in.
Right, absolutely.
Yes, get back to the floor.
And we will start with Attorney Roger Hughes. Welcome.
Thank you, councilors. My name is Roger Hughes. I live in Norwell, and I've lived there for 36 years. I first met Ed about 30 years ago when I was a trial lawyer here in Boston, and Ed was an insurance claims adjuster. And he was extremely professional and fair, did his job very well. And then, fortunately for me and for the town of Norwell, he moved to Norwell about 30 years ago, something like that. And I've got to know Ed very well, professionally and personally, over the last 30 years. He is a person who contributes greatly to the town. He initially started as a coach in a little league, and then in basketball and soccer. He was then instrumental in the Norwell Boosters Club, which is a club to aid sports. And what Ed did is he sort of took over and changed it so that it was no longer just for athletes, but now contributes to all sorts of extracurricular activities. Ed and I are members of the same church in Norwell, St. Helens Parish, and Ed is one of the leaders. I'm just one of the guys that goes, but Ed is a Eucharistic minister, a lector, a member of the parish council, which is like a governing body of the church, and he's looked up to by everyone in the church and throughout the town. And I say that throughout the town because Ed took a very keen interest in education. He initially was on a number of committees for the elementary schools and then the high school, middle school, and then high school level. He then went on and became a member of the school committee, where he served for 6 years. Not the easiest job there is, but he was very good at it. He was also on the Norwell Zoning Board of Appeals, and I was lucky enough to serve on a committee with him for several years, called the Senior Tax Relief Committee. We were established to try and help the seniors in the town because of the increased taxes. And I got an opportunity to see Ed working with others and see him as he showed his empathy for others, but also showed his ability to lead without letting us all know that we were being led. My experience as a lawyer is I've been prominently a trial lawyer. I've tried cases as a insurance defense counsel, as a plaintiff's counsel. I've tried criminal cases, including murder cases. So I've had the opportunity to appear before judges for more than 25 years. I think I know what it takes to be a good judge. And I'm telling you wholeheartedly that Ed has all of the qualifications to be a fine and outstanding judge. He's caring, he's a competent person, but I think most importantly, he just has good judgment. And I enthusiastically support his appointment to the bench, and I hope you will too. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Hughes, very much. Before we begin with the next witness, what I'd like to do is ask you to please introduce your family and friends who are here with you today.
Yes.
To the council.
Fine, thank you. To my right is my wife, Elaine, our children, Maura and Brendan, and then my witnesses is Gil Wallace, Jack Riley. We have 2 Judge Carey is here, and Judge Meno has arrived. Sorry, I don't know who's that. Okay.
Let me just say, I see Judge Carey here, she's not on the list, but as a Chief Justice, I wondered if you are interested in making any comments and being a witness.
Just to say that I wholeheartedly support this nomination. He's just a wonderful lawyer. He's appeared before me when I was sitting more regularly. He's always professional. His demeanor never got rattled, which I think for those of you that I've talked to before, when I talk about judicial candidates, the thing that's most important for me is temperament, because I can teach someone if they've got a lack of knowledge in the law, I can help and educate them. But one thing I think is very difficult to do is to teach temperament, and that is the one thing that I think Mr. Boyle can. So that will really do him well in our court. Our court is laced with emotions, very trying at times. Good people sometimes at their worst and having a great deal of difficulty. It takes some patience and compassion, and that's what I think Mr. Boyle has. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll continue with your list and ask
Yes.
Judge Meno. Welcome.
So I can catch my breath. I was running all the way from Plymouth. Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. Last time, I think it was close to 15 years ago when I sat in Justice Designate Ed Boyle sitting, and I know how important the work you do is, and I thank you for it. I think the best way to begin is a story tells 1,000 words. And 2.5 years ago, Ed tried a very difficult case. It actually gets me a little emotional. It was, I put it this way, in 15 years, in my beginning of my decision, stated, I think I said, this is the most important decision I've ever made. It was the case of a severely handicapped, quadriplegic girl, could not speak, and the issue was, could she be removed from her mother's home to go to the father's home for visitation? Could there be enough medical intricacies taken care of with nursing and letting father, who was a simple UPS driver, could he care for this child? Ed represented father. Mother represented very competent counsel. The most difficult case, I've heard some very difficult cases in 15 years, but this was very, very critical. And the way Ed handled that case, amazing. We were able to, after I had to go out, I visited with the girl. It was the first time in 14 years that I ever did a review. Left the court to go out. Went out, met the girl, met her father in the setting, watching her at mother's house, and then I had to see father's house, and he had changed it all around, made it handicap accessible. And it was a powerful case, but why I bring that up is because the way Ed handled the case, he wasn't a strident, overzealous advocate. He understood we had a very difficult issue. I had to make the decision. He had to represent father, but he had to also represent the child. Good family lawyers, that's what they do. And that case I wrote for me defined the kind of innocuous standard of best interest. And the way he had handled it, because I'll tell you, 15 years I've seen some of the best Boston lawyers try cases, charging 3 times what Ed Boyle charged. He tried, I think, this case better than anyone I've ever seen. For example, cross-examination. Those of you who are lawyers know, a lot of lawyers don't do it well. After seeing them for 14 years, they waste your time, they talk for an hour and a half, and they sit down and you've got no notes. Ed got up, and in 15 questions, in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, totally was able to discredit or show the holes in a witness that was pivotal to the case. I was scratching my head, couldn't believe how powerful it was. Very succinctly, no show, no, not beating up on people, just as his presence is, very quiet, very nice, and carved the Z on the Zorro without knowing what had happened. I was so impressed with that. When the case was all over, and ultimately I made my decision to allow father time with the child, which has worked very well. One of those cases that you hope does. I saw it. Now, I've never socialized with Ed Boyle. This is the first time meeting his family. I think the only social event I had was I ran into him on a bus to a BC football game and said hi to him. So for 14 years, he's come before me. That's the only way I've known him. When that case was over and the appeal process had run, I pulled him up to the bench and I said, you need to consider being an appropriate family lawyer. I said, I've been here, I've never said his name once. There's some good people who come through these portals, but he's the only one I've ever felt strong enough to ask. He was flattered in a way, he thought about it, the rest is history. I think you might have read the letter I wrote for him. I've never written a letter in 14 years. So, I'll tell you this. If I've learned anything that I can give you for 14 years, I think I've earned my right to say this. What you look for in a family court judge is someone who's patient, who can listen, who's got a heart, who's got a head, and can put that together. Not easy to do. I never sat in the Superior Court, never sat in the District Court, never sat in the Land Court. When we have our meetings with Chief Justice Carey, she'll tell you that Chief Justice Marshall comes and says that you have the hardest job in the world, being a probate and family court judge. You know what, she's right. I can't tell you. I'll be honest with you, I went on the bench at 40. I remember Governor Wells appointed me, and he said, you're going to be able to do this until you're 70. And I said, I don't know about that. I said, well, I'll give you the best years. So far, for 15, I think I've done that, but what keeps you fresh is seeing new people come along. And I'm fortunate enough, if you approve, Ed Boyle is going to be my colleague. He has an amazing presence. It's kind of intuitive. When he walks into a courtroom, it's like E.F. Hutton. People calm down, they listen to him. I've watched him for 14 years, so I'll be honest with you. The lawyers there are lawyers who come up and they're real nice to the clerks and the registers. Why? Because they're trying to get their case here. Oh, how are you? Good to see you. That's not Ed Boyle. He's not a phony. When he comes up and says, how are you? How are your kids? He means it. Because I've seen him, how he treats everybody. From the security guard to the judge. So you get to look at a person over time. You get to appraise him. So as a person, I wasn't here, but to give the early reminder, I can only tell you what I've seen. Quality person. As a lawyer, top-notch problem. Knows the rules of evidence. Is not braggadocio, not that type of person. Someone who really does it the right way. And again, if you would have asked all the employees who come to the court, they were so happy. We had a crazy morning. We started the trial at 8 today. I'm coming. Pull some people if I get back at 2. But as I was running out the door, court office, security, my assistant registrar, my secretary, good one, tell them who was that. He's got that type of gift. I've never been more excited. I was so happy to come here. So I give you my heart. That's what it's about. I can't say nothing but it for. So I think I'm listening to him today and his family and from the other people who spoke, and I know you do the right thing. If I have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Sure. Judge, I want to thank you for your service. I just listening to you starting the trial at 8, talking about what goes into how you start the job. We're lucky to have you, and I want to thank you.
Thank you very much.
And what you say about Attorney Boyle is just beyond description in terms of what it conveys to us. And you said at the beginning, we're 10,000, we're 10,000. Great to have you here, and your testimony was really very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know your kind reputation. Thank you for all you've done. And I appreciate your words, and I know that's from your heart, and that means a lot to me. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Jen, I really, really appreciate it. Not to be redundant here, but we get a lot of people come before us, and a lot of them are here because they like the person, and or they're a friend, or they were whatever, a close peer, but you can see that you wouldn't be there if you didn't, in your heart and soul and your mind, believe in Ed Boyle. I wonder, do you ever have an opportunity after cases or through MCLE or through judges programs to speak to lawyers who practice in the probate court, to share? Sure, I mean, Judge Sherry's here, and I know she does a great job of, marshaling some of Judge Meadows' insights, because it is a difficult court, and maybe there are some information or thoughts you can share with attorneys who practice in the probate court that they could benefit from really understanding just what it takes to do really good at what they do.
Well, thank you. We do have what we call, in Plymouth County, we do kind of a judicial forum, at least once a year. We invite all the lawyers in, and all the judges come, and we give it an afternoon. We go from 4 to 7. And we basically just talk about, we'll talk about some of the updates in the law, but we'll talk about the difficulties that we face. And we get to see more of the human side of us, and we get to hear from them too. So, but that's a good idea. It's more communication. It's, I know you'll point all kinds of that. It's just a unique court because, one of our colleagues dubbed it the house of pain. You walk in with the exception of an adoption, which you just, it's just such a great experience. As I always say, you have your adoptions at 8:30, and it goes downhill at that, because you're hearing just, and you have to and I think it helps you in your decision, because you have to get people who won't get burned out. And, Justice Gary and I are good friends as well. We talked about that. There are a lot of judges, they hit that 10-year mark, and, you can see it in their eyes. And I think you have to find new ways of becoming fresh. I began teaching at BC in the evening school, which has just been a godsend, because it's kind of given me with my students. But you have to find different ways. I do the MCLE with Judge Gary, and but you got to talk about it, because otherwise, if you go into a hole, that's one of the problems when you leave the practice, you become kind of isolated. Now, I don't think Ed will, because he's a very amiable person, but some judges get too isolated and they can affect themselves.
Well, and why I also bring this up, and not to take away from Ed's hearing today, because I don't want to do that, but one of the things as elected officials we hear in this area, probably the probate court is where most questions or concerns about. I've talked to Judge Carey on several occasions with concerns and questions that are brought to my attention and to the council's attention, whether it's in child custody, child support, domestic issues, and just some of the practices you kind of alluded to varying degrees of attorneys in the probate court, but we're dealing with, like you said, not a very pleasant issue, and there's really no key winners. You talk to the fathers groups that are here today and are here continuously because they feel the pain of all these unfortunate situations, but also some injustices that they feel. And so if we can continue to keep in mind that the judges up there and the lawyers out there need to be continually, maybe even more refreshed in the area of probate and family court, because it's just such a stressful area, and there are so many, things that can go wrong for people. Yeah. And when they go wrong in the probate and family court, whether it's the fault of the fathers or others, it goes really wrong for them, and it's a domino effect for the rest of their lives in some cases. So I just, hopefully you can take that some instructional points and know that people are counting on you to bring this kind of intelligence and enthusiasm and energy to the court, as we know and we hope that if this proves true, that Ed Boyle will do as well.
Thank you. I agree.
Thank you. Council Paul.
Yes, I just wanted to add to what I was talking about. It is helpful to us to have somebody like you come in with your experience. So it's like, so you can see what's from the heart. And you got Judge Carey here also coming in and doing the time to give us, a close perspective. It's, very hopefully with Judge Mergen, his experience, it certainly helps me a little bit. I'd like to know how he pulls off the button thing over to the red thing.
The next witness you have is Attorney John D. Riley.
Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today on Ed's behalf. I have had an office in the Abington. I'm a practicing attorney there at 500 Washington Street for about 35 years. I've been really fortunate for the last, I guess it's 28 years, to have Ed Boyle in the same office. I've got to know Ed as a lawyer, but I don't think that it's the lawyer that you should be considering today. I think it's just a man. And first and foremost, he's a great family man, father, and husband. I don't know how he does some of the stuff he does. You heard Mr. Hughes tell you about his volunteerism and service to the town of Norwell. It doesn't stop at the town of Norwell. It goes to other places in the county. I read Judge Menno's letter of recommendation, and I've never, ever seen anything like it. I don't know if you people have access to that letter of dignity, how it's heard it today. There isn't much that anybody can say about his candidacy here for a probate judge. The only thing I can assure you is, worked with him and observed him, even though we're separate sole practitioners, you do live in the same building and you see what's going on and you see what you report with clients and other attorneys that come in. Ed's always level. He's always level. There was nothing to see him come in nights, weekends. One of the few lawyers I know that makes house calls. He would certainly be an asset to the probate bench, and I can assure you that he would perform his duties with dignity and honor, and that would be an appointment that in 2 years, hopefully he'll be back here as Judge Menno was today to tell you what goes on in the probate court. And I too would say, I think, and I haven't been in all that many courts all over the state, but the probate court is the tough. It's a tough job. And you got a tough guy who will face that responsibility. And I know that he'll perform adequately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Attorney Riley, any questions?
Thank you.
The last witness is Mrs. Gail Wallace. Welcome.
I was fortunate enough 18 years ago to answer an ad in the paper. I met Attorney Boyle, and I made up my mind I wanted this job because of the interview. He, at that time, I was working in Braintree as a glorified typist, and the bottom line was billing time. I did not like it at all. I told him all about it, and he said, well, you know something, we have to get you closer to home. Now, I work 2.9 miles away from our house, and that was great for me. But in the 18 years that we've been together, I have to say that I absolutely love this man. He is the best.
Is that okay?
He is the best boss I've ever had. He's just, I can't describe him. He's the most wonderful man, other than my husband, that I have ever known. And I watched him deal with people, the elderly especially, will come in, and they have no clue, and he takes them under his wing, and he helps them. And 9 times out of 10, he would never send them the bill, because that's all he is. He wants to help everyone that he comes in contact with, and he's not, he's never been condescending to anyone. He's been wonderful to me. He doesn't ignore anybody. Someone will come in, and it might be an old guy walking along, and he'll, how are you today? And he means it. He's just a wonderful person. And my career will end because he's going, hopefully, on the bench, and I'll have to deal with that. But he's a wonderful man. I couldn't say any more about him than I already have.
Hang on one second.
That really is very sincere, it's wonderful testimony. And I've always said, it's you, the person that works with this nominee, who spends more time with him than his wife. So you know his ups and downs, where things are going bad, and that's wonderful testimony.
Well, never have I seen him in a violent mood or lose his temper. He and I have had a few words twice, maybe, over 18 years.
I lost both times.
Thank you for coming, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that concludes your witness list. And at this time, I just want to ask if there's anybody here in opposition to this appointment. Hearing none, I'd like to ask you, Attorney Boyle, to share this with us and why you like these hearing plan programs.
Thank you very much, Council. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to meet with you this afternoon regarding my nomination by Governor Patrick to the position of Associate Justice of the Plymouth County Probate and Family Court. I am a third-generation member of the Massachusetts Bar. My grandfather practiced in Woburn for many years, and my father joined him there after his service in World War II until he was recalled by the Navy to serve in Korea. I graduated from the College of Holy Cross in 1975 and was in the evening division of the London School of Law in 1979. I was sworn in as a member of the bar in December of 1979 and established my office in Abington in November of 1981. I've been there ever since as a sole practitioner. I've been asked many times why I want to serve as an associate justice at the Probate and Family Court. As we all heard here today, it is a tough job. The answer is my interest in and dedication to public service. I have served as a member of a number of municipal boards, various civic committees, local school councils, and school committees, and as a member and past chairman of the Town of Norwell School Committee. I also enjoyed coaching in a number of youth sports programs, as you heard, but you didn't hear that some might say my greatest contribution was to teach my team members how to lose with dignity. In the course of my practice, I've served as a civil mediator in the court-sponsored mediation program in the district court, and been an active participant in the Lord of the Day program in the Probate and Family Court. My court experiences during the past 10 to 15 years have been almost exclusively in the Probate and Family Court. It is a venue in which I am very comfortable, and where I believe my talents have dictated I should be. I'm at a point in my career, in my life, my youngest graduating on Monday, where I believe I can make a larger contribution to the public good. I would like to do so by utilizing my knowledge and experience in the Probate and Family Court as an associate justice. My experience has shown me that those who utilize the services of the Probate and Family Court want to know when they leave that building that they received a free hearing, and that the result of that hearing will be available to them in a timely manner. I submit that my experience as an advocate in that court will allow me to address those concerns appropriately and professionally on the bench. I have often stated that as an advocate in the Probate and Family Court, you can have a positive effect on the life of one person per day. As a jurist, you can positively affect the lives of many people every day. If the council sees fit to confirm my nomination, I intend to do just that. I thank you for your time and consideration. I thank my witnesses as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Attorney Boyle.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I don't have any questions. Just some comments. I think you've done a wonderful job in telling us more about who you are and what you bring to this nomination. I can only say that I think the governor and legal counsel have done an outstanding job in getting some appointment before. I think that the Probate and Family Court is going to be extraordinarily well served by the addition of your talent and temperament, and as your Chief Justice area, temperament is the most important ingredient, because you don't know what happens when somebody doesn't have the right temperament. You've been on the short end of that on occasion in the past yourself. And you know, it's hard to sit here and have a crystal ball and know who's going to them a different person once they get their head. But I know that's my mind, that you're not going to be one of those who's going to change in terms of your company. Once we go for it, voting for you.
Thank you very much. I'll have good anchors with me on all sides, so.
We have a great majority.
Councilor Foley.
Same here, and I don't have any real pointed questions, just some comments to what Judge Murray hit right on, and Judge Gary said, Judge Mel. It's so important, the temperament of individuals that on that membership. Over my years, I haven't had so much time in the program, the other boards, I've spent quite a bit of time in it. I mean, everyone's always anxious when you have a case to see who's going to be appointed the judge during the case. A lot of hard work and time that we've been putting those cases together, and unfortunately, the judges and the judges, I think over time, all of us, when we're dealing with the public, kind of develop a little bit of a hardness. I think it's just human nature to a degree. We've had to take things for granted a little bit. It's so important to maintain that balance and that confidence and deal with basic cases that it's a new case, not just another stuff coming in and over and over. We come across that way. From what I've heard and what I see yesterday. I just want to comment on your witnesses, Judge. Excellent, you can tell it from the heart. I think that's very important. I think a lot of this has to do with, as Judge Perry said, less of the actual practice and more of what is in that heart and making dealing with people on a regular basis. I think that's our job. And more or less make sure that people are the right template and fill these positions. We often learn the law. You can't teach that. I have to concur with Judge Murray in that I think that Governor, Lieutenant Governor James is a very good nomination. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you?
Thank you for all the time you've spent with me. I just wanted to say that your witnesses were excellent, and their sincere support to you came through, and I appreciate that the witnesses coming forward. I wanted to just say that I do agree with Judge Minow and everything he said, and also we talked about that case.
Yes.
And I asked you what was the most rewarding outcome that you ever had in the case, and this particular girl, her mental age was that of a baby, so it was quite a trial for you to get support for the father. And I appreciate that because we talked about shared custody and how good fathers are literally divorced from their children with the judgment of judges, which which we agreed. And I asked what the percentage of men and women that you represented, and you said about equal. And but I do want to say right off the bat that I'm not holding it against you that you are a fully crossed grad, being the mother of BC kids.
I did a lot of BC kids, let me tell you.
In fact, I said to you, be weird, because my daughter met her husband at BC, so you never know. But he's Yankee fan, he's from New York, so we want to get into that.
I think some more so the questions. We'll go with that off.
I just have to say that I am really thrilled with this appointment. I have to say, as I've always said, I don't have a poker face, and I've always said that you can't separate a person's personal life from professional, and both are exemplary. And you have you're the whole package. You have served, you've been dedicated to your family, the church, and community. And I want to say, when you're on the church council, you're really take it from all ends, because you have to be responsible for the person for the funds. And and also being on the school committee. Thank God you're not on now with what's happening. And the zoning board, that's a no-win. And I say that because I'm also a city councilor. Don't get excited. I make $4,500 a year after taxes after 29 years, so I made it serve. But so I know those jobs very well because I'll be going to a board meeting tonight, and I know it is tough. I was interested in your answer for discretion. I always ask about discretion, and I was pleased with your answer. And you believe that it's necessary for judges to exercise their discretion in a manner that promotes public safety, and that was your first priority, which is mine. And do you want to talk more about that?
Well, I adopt that position, but again, being mindful of the fact that this is a probate family court position, we don't have an awful lot of opportunities where we're sentencing people. Generally, it's because they're in contempt because of their support. And that goes both ways. That's what you said in those situations as well as men. So, you know, there really isn't a lot of opportunity in the probate family court to sentence anybody. It's merely to try and get them to change their behavior.
Right.
And people have asked me, and I always say, well, we don't really put them in jail. They do that by their own actions or inactions. But that being said, that's really the only opportunity that I would foresee that I would sense.
Can you talk about, shared custody? We did talk about that when we met, and you shared the same opinion of me that there's a lot of good fathers in some of the judgments that judges have made, and I did tell you that, I don't have a crystal ball, and I have voted for one particular judge, and I was really dismayed when I read that she gave custody, she gave visitation rights to, first of all, she allowed the mother to move across the country, and she had no relatives, no family, no job or anything. It was just being vindictive, and the judge ruled that the father of the children, who was a wonderful father, could only have visitation rights on the internet, and you can't have a computer. And I just hope that's not a way to the future, that's what judges are going to feel, that that's equal and right.
Well, not being totally familiar with everything that was put into that particular case, in terms of shared custody, I've had clients on both sides that had one who came in with a calendar, and he had exactly 182 days marked off on the calendar. In theory, it was a wonderful idea. The problem was he worked about 45 minutes away from where the children resided, and then initially he was going to reside in San Antonio. That proved to be not economical, so he moved 2 towns away. So it really became very, very difficult for a shared custody, 50-50 situation. What ended up happening in that situation, though, was because he brought it to everybody's attention, we really fleshed it out in a 4-way meeting we had prior to the pre-trial. Shortly thereafter, we appeared at the court on the pre-trial, and the divorce went forward by way of agreement. And I think because it became so known to everybody involved, counsel, the other side, and obviously our side, how important this was, that the parties really addressed that issue successfully themselves. So it never became an issue. It never went back to court. The issue never was revisited after the agreement was reached. I concur that there's nothing that coming place of having back or tap on the head, but we also live in a world that we have to be very, very realistic about the fact that it's a very mobile world. I think as time goes on, people are becoming more cognizant of it and more understanding of the need for both parents to be involved in their children's lives at all stages. I usually find, and I say this to clients, from 0 to 5, everybody wants to. From 5 to 11, they have their own schedules, and everybody's like, well, I can't be there, can you be there? And then when they hit 12, 13, or 14, you take it.
I mean,
it's reality. But I think to the extent that it's possible, I'm a big advocate. For example, I think I told you about the case I'm presently involved in. We went for temporary orders, and everybody, the father went across the mother went across. 4-year-old daughter. So we got to the family service office, and this was a huge obstacle that we had to overcome. And the family service officer looked at my client and said, how flexible is your schedule? And of course, everybody's schedule is totally flexible when they're in that office because they all want to win both ways. So what he suggested is that my client leave the office at noon on Thursday and pick up his daughter at 12:30 to daycare and spend that time with her until 7 or 8 o'clock that night. And my client agreed to that.
soccer games and other kinds of activities that generally will interfere, or family parties that will generally interfere with the visit. And kids now that his daughter has acquired some wonderful office skills, but they have some real quality time, and what's happened is this is about 4 months old, and now not only is she spending that time with her father, but she's staying over that night, and he delivers it to daycare. So the parties have been able, because of the suggestion by the family service officer, to get over that hurdle, and to the point where that issue has been resolved between them in connection with the potential agreement of the entire divorce. So it's been people are being more creative because their schedules require them to. So it seems to be working.
No, I was very impressed with that, and I wanted you to have that opportunity that, what we talked about. I think what I'm very pleased about when I see that you have, you're not politically connected, you don't have politicians lined up to talk to you, that you came here the old-fashioned way, you earned it, and you haven't contributed to any counselors, you haven't to any lieutenant governor, anything, and that's very refreshing, I want you to know. And I just urge the Judicial Nominating Committee to try to look past the political appointments and look for nominees like this, because this is what I would urge the governor to look, look more carefully in who we are appointing, because I'm saying it now, I couldn't be more pleased with this appointment. And after we met, and all of the things you're saying, we've had discussed, and I did talk to Counselor Ianella, and I had said I had never seen, someone like this with a background as a solo practitioner, and he had neither, because he came on before me, and we both agreed that this is just the kind of judge that we want. And it's just, and as a solo practitioner, I'm not a lawyer, but I appreciate you knowing what it costs to run that office, the heat, the electricity, and everything else, so if the fax machine's broken or whatever. And so that's important, because when these lawyers come before you, you've been an issue. And, I just can't say enough. There's nothing I can go over with a fine-tooth comb that you just, they said you're a wonderful person, and that's the highest compliment that anyone could get. And you don't share a law office with any of the counselors here, and you haven't contributed to anyone here, and you're not a lifetime friend of any counselor here. So that's great. That's what I want. And so I just urge the governor and the JNC, look past the political appointments, who's connected. This is what we want. And there's nothing more I can say about it, that I've never been more enthusiastic, and I have never, in the years I've been here, ever seen your resume just solo practitioner, and that's great. That's really great, because you have seen it all, and I just...
Nobody else wanted me.
But anyway, it was a pleasure. I think we talked for over 2 hours, and it was great, and I want to take this on record. But I did tell you that this court is very important to me, and I have my friends that have adopted, and I told you the story. And if you don't have the right judge, and I had one friend that adopted 2 boys, and after they were adopted, for 2 years, one of them disclosed how the father sexually abused them. And the judge had given visitation rights to the father. And that judge made them wait a year before they stopped the visitation rights. So it's so important to have a judge that was hearing and compassionate as you. And when we met, they came through and with all the witnesses. And I'm going to be very pleased to vote for you next week. And I want to say again, Bill York, who great guy from Watertown, and he couldn't say enough good things about you. And I'm just pleased, and I'm very happy to have you in that court. We need you.
Thank you very much.
Attorney Boyle, not much can be added in terms of, the great words the witnesses have brought forth, your reputation, Council Ionella, who has the district which you live in,
Yes.
is extremely pleased. Council Callahan is extremely pleased with the nomination as well. We wanted to bring that forward today. We had opportunity to discuss all of this also. And, we talked about, obviously, 29 years, you've seen it all. So whether it's the fathers that come before you, the mothers that come before you, everyone that comes before you, it's not anything you really will not have seen. And that's so important. You have some insight and intuition that will help, and we talked about that. We talked about the fact that there's some attorneys, that maybe are better than others, and that you're going to be able to see the kind of, you're going to be able to see through a lot of stuff, and your experience, and that's really important. We talked about some of the challenges in the court, and the fact that people show up at 8:30, what happens, they can't be seen till 2 or 2:30. We talked about maybe working on and being a part of some opportunities for scheduling changes, and maybe scheduling some people later in the day, or at least looking at that with other judges and the chief justice, and bringing that common sense that you've lived to the court. That sometimes after the delayed look after 10 or 12 years, that needs to be reviewed. But most of all, you're bringing a person who we all believe to see here today and through our investigations as just a good person. And not only intelligent and experienced, but a good person. And people of the Commonwealth that come before you in the probate and family court will certainly be the beneficiaries. They may not see it at that day or that moment, but they will know it. I also got unsolicited calls from 3 people that I really respect a lot and I've gotten to know over the last 10 years in my role as Government Counsel. And that's John Buckley, the Register of Deeds, Bob McCarthy, the Register of Probate, who I am very fond of and called me up and couldn't say enough about you, and I called some of the other counselors as well. And Jack Lalonde, who is not related to the court, as you know, but has become a friend of mine over the last 10 years. He made sure to give me a call last night and said, I heard Ed Boyle is been nominated. And Carol, I need you to know that he is just one heck of a human being. And I know his law, of his law work. He is not in the legal profession, but he was couldn't say enough about you. And that's what we want to do. And whether you gave a donation to the governor or not, it doesn't matter to me. If it's illegal and it'd be public and it'd be fine to do, you didn't. But most important, you are qualified, you are experienced, you are the kind of person we all look for. And truly, I want to commend, like the other staff, the governor, the lieutenant governor, and JNC, because they have been bringing forward people like you. And in my district, I am thrilled. We are seeing some people who have been in the trenches, and I call them blue-collar workers, and we need balance in the court, and you're going to bring it. I don't think there's anything else. I see Councilor Meriden wants to share something.
Sure. I just forgot to mention this on the record about the field. He was very enthusiastic, and just wanted to know. Thank you very much.
So with that, and I know also in your application here you referenced family, sister, and other things throughout your life that have brought you to where you are today. And
yes.
I appreciate that, and I just know that it's a tremendous job. So I would be honored to bring your name forward next week when we